Welcome to Chatting GPT, the podcast where I get to speak to really interesting humans who are implementing AI. I'm your host, Mary Rose Lyons of the AI Institute, and today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Paul Kortman. Paul is the founder of Connex Digital, a company that specializes in automating businesses to help them increase efficiency and become more profitable. And they also do great automation courses. More on that in a moment. Make.com, Zapier, Airtable, these are the tools of choice. Paul Kortman, you are very welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here and talk about automation, but also AI and how that changes the world now.
How it changes everything, and travel as well, if we've got time for everything. So, like myself, you started Connex Digital as a digital marketing agency. So, you came from a marketing background, and then later you pivoted to focus more exclusively on workflow automation. What motivated that? When did it happen? And how did you manage that change?
So we actually have gone through a number of pivots as an agency. It's been 15 years since we started.
Wow.
But yeah, like you said, started as a digital marketing agency. My background, actually, I'm an IT nerd. And so I happened to be working for a marketing agency and helped start a digital branch or digital arm within a traditional marketing agency. And then just ran into some difficulties between myself and the leadership. And so I ended up starting my own agency. Then fast forward
What
a
year
few
was that?
years. That was 2010. Yeah,
Yeah.
because 15 years. So,
Oh, yeah.
so fast forward a few years, we had pivoted from general digital marketing to specifically we were SEO link builders. And so having niched down, or what I like to say is niched up into that space, we built a system. And in building a system, we heavily relied on, in those days, it was Trello and Zapier. And so I had a bunch of different people that were working together, but never had to meet together, never had to waste time. They just did their part inside Trello, and it triggered the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so having built that system, Zapier got a hold of us and said, actually, there's a fun story. We hit a limit with Zapier. Back in the day, they used to only allow 100 steps, and we got
Yeah.
to 99 and then couldn't add the 100th step. And so that brought
You broke
the attention
Zapier.
of Zapier. We didn't break it, but we hit a limit. And so they approached us and said, hey, we want you to show others and teach others how to do what you did. And so, long story short, we helped them start what used to be called the Zapier Experts Program, and now it's the Solutions Partners Program. So, we're one of the OGs there. We're still in the top three. Those young rascals that come in and outrank us, but
They've just got
anyway,
more
so
time and no children.
that's what we've been doing for 8 or 9 years. Obviously, Zapier was just one of the tools, and then we, have added in more. So we've got like 15, 20 different partnerships with different either automations or low-code, no-code system providers.
Yes, and we met over a shared love of Make.com. I
Correct.
love Make. So did you go like Zapier to Make, and then are you N8N now as well?
Yes, and Pipedream and Workato. Those are kind
Wow.
of like our sweet spots in the iPaaS area. But it's kind of funny because as we expand our team, each team member kind of has their own personal preferences of
Yeah.
like they know the negative of this iPaaS tool, but that's the tool they still want to use. And so when we ask them to do like an internal automation or something, they'll go to that tool and build it. And so across all these tools, we actually have our internal systems running on all 5 of them.
I would love to see that. I'd love to have a show around. No, I'd probably be
No.
very, very
I-
fearful of that.
They've kicked me out. So I'm not allowed to go in and muck around anymore because, when you achieve a certain level of success, suddenly you can't just tinker with
Yeah.
systems because you break them. So
Yes, that is the problem. So you're on the business. And my question for you would be in terms of like all of the people who work with you, like are they specialists in like some tools, and then how do you decide which is a new tool you're going to bring on? Like are there certain
Yeah. So we have our
tests?
core tools that we train every single new employee on. And then some of them we bring on with specialties, and some of them kind of find a niche while we're training them. And they're like, ooh, I really like this one. And so usually what happens is because Zapier is one of our core partners and always has been, Zapier is the gorilla in this space, and so they integrate with like 8,000 different apps right now.
Yeah.
And that number is growing every day. And we're actually part of growing that number. But what that means is that everybody that comes to us has a new app or a different app that we've never worked with before. And so what we end up doing is learning these applications by helping our clients, and then we pull those in as, ooh, we want to be experts with that, or we want to use that in our internal processes. And so we have a very expensive subscription line item, and my accountant is always like, Paul, are you really sure you want to spend this much on software? And it's like, yeah, I do.
Yes.
Because we need to be experts in various different softwares. So yeah,
That's a freedom though, isn't it? I love that, because when you see a new tool and you're like, I'm going to go, and like people are like, I'm going to stay on the free. I'm like, no, I'm going to pay for it because I need to know how to use it. But it's, you don't have an expensive office building in like, Fifth Avenue or something like that, so there's the cost, isn't it? Having the tools.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So when you're looking at, so obviously we'll talk about this in a little bit more depth now. Like, okay, so you help businesses automate business processes to make them more efficient, to help them generate more revenue. So before we go into the examples of the ones that you've worked with, how do you help clients identify which processes are ripe for automation?
That's a fun one. So one of the things, I'll take a step back here. One of the things I like to say, just kind of my catchphrase, is we like helping people move to higher level thinking. And so think of all the stuff that you do that any college graduate, any high school graduate could do. And as knowledge workers, we do a lot of stuff that it's like, oh, really, do I need to do? This is beneath me. And
do I need a degree for this?
Right.
Yeah.
Our goal is to move people to higher level thinking. We're not replacing people. We're moving them to higher level thinking so that they can do the strategy and let the technical aspect or the tactical aspect just happen like magic. So what we like to do is say, okay, there's three things. Anytime you're copying and pasting, we look at, okay, maybe we can automate that. Anytime you're exporting or importing, we look at, we can automate that.
Yeah.
And then anytime you're following a checklist, so most companies will build out SOPs, and that's our checklist basically. Anytime you're following a process, a checklist, when this happens, do this, when this happens, do that. And those are the three categories that we help people think through their processes in. And it's like, these are the ripe for automation aspects. Maybe ironically, maybe not so much. The moment AI came out, we jumped on it because we could see that AI is going to replace automation aspects, but the categories are still the same. Anytime you're copying and pasting, anytime you're exporting or importing, or anytime you're, I can't think of the third one. Following a checklist, a procedure. Like, this is what AI can do. This is what a VA could do. And so now we have agents in AI, and they're basically VAs. You just have to define a process. You have to define, this is what I need you to import and export. This is what I need you to, move from here to there. And so that's where automations naturally went to AI.
Well, before you give me a few good examples of that, okay, one of the things I really like about you is the fact that you're always talking about the fact that let's stop the fixation on just saving the time, but it's actually about freeing yourself up to do other higher value stuff instead. And that's very much where we're coming from at the AI Institute. It's not about helping. I don't want to work with companies that are trying to cut their workforce. It's actually about get rid of the dross and move on to more higher value stuff instead. So will you share a couple of examples of maybe a teeny tiny business that came to you and you were able to revolutionize the way they do things, and maybe a much larger one, and just share some of those tales?
Ooh.
There's been so many.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with one example. So I just got off the phone with a business where they needed to generate unique codes for every purchase that was made. And so that, yes, Stripe or whatever does this and whatnot, but they wanted a little, kind of like a document, a PDF, a certificate of purchase. So you get a receipt, but they wanted something a little bit more special. And they didn't want to have to create each one, but they wanted it to be customized and unique and all of that. And so we were able to do that fairly cheaply. I mean, I'll just say it's less than $500, to be able to build this automation, get this set up. And now every time somebody makes a purchase, they get this custom PDF for them that you can print and display. And so they were really pleased with that. That's a tiny thing for just a small side business, basically, is what they were running. And then, we've worked with, it used to be a good name, but then the doors fell off, a Boeing subsidiary where their marketing department needed some help in coordinating basically like project management, but they had a specific ideation of like how they wanted to track and report against their OKRs and all of this. And so 30 people in their department all needed, and then they had different subgroups in each department with different project types and all of this. And so like you can just see how complex this gets, and when they take action over here, then it needs to create something for the next person in line. So we built this fairly complex system inside Airtable, using automations and interfaces in Airtable. And so they were able to not only manage like the task workers they just had their task list. This is what they worked on. And when they marked it as done or ready for review, it showed up to the boss or the next person in line who needed to review it and approve it. Then the project was ready for the next step. And at the top, the admin was able just to, like the VP of the company, was able just to look across and say, okay, I wanted this marketing campaign. Where are we at in that process? And not have to drill down and not have to Slack somebody. How are we doing? They're able to see how much is done and related to what OKR, what business key result, etc. that they're looking for. So they were able to justify all of their actions.
But what you're speaking to, that sounds amazing actually. How long did it take you to kind of build something like that out? It sounds fairly complex.
And that was a 6-month project. So, it was a rolling, like we operate in the low code, no code space. So a lot of times we have to help people kind of say, you don't have to develop the whole plan and blueprint ahead of time, because by the time you did that, we might as well built it. And so we build it as we go, or in their case, they came to us with a rough infrastructure and we had to migrate as we went. And so kind of like add features and help people use those features as we were working towards the end goal of having that system. So
I think, No, but I think that approach of yours, of the kind of more like, build it as you go, I think that is something that's happening everywhere now. Like most web developers that I know are doing that. They're like, we're going to give you the start, we'll do a call, you tell us what we want to do. It's much quicker. And it's much more fun. But I think I called you before you're the SaaS killer. So that's what I see you as. In other words, we all know with SaaS that, we've been paying monthly fees to use these applications that perform a great task. Mostly we find they do about 90%. And there's always that one thing that they won't do for us, or I really wish it could do this. But now I think you've got this massive freedom that you can say, look, I'm going to just take my data out of this particular app that I'm paying for that isn't giving me the reporting the way I want it, and then bring it into Airtable or bring it into some other platform or tool. You could just create things to do exactly what you want them to do. So this world of unstructured data, do you think there is a future for SaaS? Is it going to go by the wayside? Is it going to turn into just unstructured data, no code platforms, everybody just customizing their own experience?
So it's interesting. There's three people. No, I don't want to. I was trying to tell a joke and then I bombed it. So let's just ignore that. But there's multiple different kinds of approaches from a user's perspective. So I like to look at it from a user's perspective, that they're really, some people are advanced enough that don't give me an interface. I actually saw a guy that I follow. He's like, okay, I need a SaaS that does this, but I don't want the interface. I just want this functionality. And so that's where you're talking about like unstructured data and do a function, do it well, but let me interact with that in my own desired platform. And so make the connection and then just make those calls. That's the future we're headed towards.
Yeah.
Really early adopters are there and understand that.
Yeah.
Majority of people are going to be, even in the future, like, they're not going to understand that or want to operate that way because they don't want to stitch all the stuff together. They just want to log into one place and sure, like check a box. Okay, authorize my Google accounts for all of this and authorize my Dropbox account for this. And then it works and it does, and their data is available to them or whatever. So that's the direction we're heading, that you're going to kind of centralize on whatever platform you desire. And so there'll be probably 3 or 4 players in that space, but it will be integrated with all the other tools that do what they do really well. So I think of it as kind of like a T shape as far as experience goes, a capital T. And so you can be really deep in one thing and shallow in all the other functions. You can't be deep. Like we don't even have a letter in the alphabet that has, an M. Thank you. Good job. And so think of like an M. I don't know any softwares that are really good at 3 different aspects.
No.
So softwares that focus on being really good at one aspect, they have a way for you to log in and they have, this kind of cutesy thing or whatever. That's the shallow area, but they're really good at sending emails. They're really good at learning your network. They're really good at whatever it is. That's the future of SaaS in general. But then now as we're starting to have this interoperability, I made it through that word. Can
you try saying that one more time just to make sure?
No. You recorded it. With those integrations, like people are going to choose their platform, how they want to view their data and interact with their data. And then they're going to pull it from different applications. Yeah.
I get really excited though when you go, so the world that you describe, and then when you layer on, okay, we're just going to bring in a quick Claude API and a bit of ChatGPT here. That's what I find so exciting. You are very similar to myself in the sense of like you're passionate about what you do. You don't just do it, but you also show other people how to do it. And that's why we are so excited that Max from Connex Digital is going to be delivering our next AI automations course. So kicking off on the 5th of June for anyone who's listening, who's interested in joining. It's been run as a kind of a training workshop thing. But would you want to kind of like share with us a little bit about the approach that you take to training and helping these really early adopters get switched on and get the learning that they need to do?
Yeah, so like we kind of follow a citizen development mindset. And so if you're not familiar with that, I'll just kind of talk through that. Think of knowledge workers in a larger organization. Right now, if they need a piece of software, they have to go request that from IT, right? And they have to make a budget request and a technology request and blah, blah, blah. what if we could equip those folks because they know what they need. They know the right prompts to give to AI. They know the desired output. What if we could equip them to build that without code? And they could have their own playground or their own space that does what they need it to do. And somebody else in the business in some other department can use the same tools, but it does something completely different. But it's super customized for how their workflow is and for their situation. So when it comes to training, what we try to do is say, okay, let's apply this. Here's an idea. Here's how this might work. How would you apply it? And kind of then use those as illustrations. As I was talking about this, I was thinking of auto manufacturer, part manufacturers. The managers on the floor, they want reporting in a certain way from the data so that they can say, hey, these users are doing or these employees are doing a good job today. And people in the office, they want different reporting. The data is the same, but they want it reported in different places, different ways. They want to analyze, hey, what part do we want to bid on next? And where are we most efficient, etc. So different questions, different outputs, same data. How can we enable those people? So as I was thinking through, just kind of talking to you about this, that's what we do when it comes to training, is trying to pull what are you actually doing in your day job, and how can we apply what we're talking about. But really what that means is, like, we teach something, here's how you go and do this, now go do it.
On your own
then
stuff.
we're available during the workshop to answer questions and help them accomplish that chapter 1 task. Because for us, it's hands-on. That's the whole citizen development thing. It's not just you know how to do it, but you actually can do it and have done it.
That's why I think you're such a good fit for us at the AI Institute, because all of our courses are like that. It's about, here's a concept, now let's all practice it together. You might be practicing it from a financial services perspective. You might be coming at it from an engineering perspective, but we're all learning together. And then the learnings, when people share what they've learned and how they're finding things. But I think for the automation, what's really important is to have those expert practitioner led workshops where everyone's just maybe just silently working away and just going, I'm stuck. And then Max will come along and help them out.
Exactly.
So it's very exciting. So that's coming up on the 5th of June. Anyone who wants to join, we'll put a link into the show notes. Something else, Paul, I wanted to ask you about, which is also really close to my heart, is your love of digital nomadism and travelling. Would you tell everyone a little bit about some of your wild experiences travelling with 4 children?
About wild experiences. Day one, so yeah, we sold our house. We had 4 kids, under 7 at the time. And we flew from the U.S. is where we're based, and we started and flew over to the Philippines, and basically spent 6 months floating around Asia, literally floating. But the just kind of a fun story that came out of that. Take kids who really haven't ever flown before. We did one test flight cross country with them from Michigan to basically California, and then got on a plane and went from San Francisco and went overseas to the Philippines. And so then we arrived in the Philippines, and it was incredibly hot. Incredibly humid, because that's what the Philippines are. And we were so jet lagged. And so we had
and
booked
4 children, jet lag.
We had booked an Airbnb for a month. We were planning on staying in the Philippines, I think 3 months or 6 months. I don't remember how many, but it's loose plans. And we had booked it for a month, and we spent the first 2 weeks just laying, just trying to recover from jet lag. So it's a completely different experience for one person to deal with jet lag, or for 2 adults to deal with jet lag, than you have needy children who want to cuddle and snuggle in the middle of the hot and humidity and heat and humidity when you're,
Don't touch me. I'm already sweating.
yeah, exactly. And so that was a fun challenge, but also that Airbnb was in a gated community. We walked down this alley that was just trashed and got out to a black sand beach. And it was amazing, except there in that city, they don't value beaches and they don't value ocean. And so there's rubbish everywhere.
That's so depressing.
It was just like, they have such a jewel right here, but culturally, they don't value it. And so it was very eye-opening for us and our kids to understand the difference in cultures and what values are.
Yeah, not judge, because, it is a cultural thing. What would be, quick one before we wrap actually, what would be your kind of top 3 digital nomad locations that anyone who's sitting there thinking, I might actually kind of get away for the winter? Where would you recommend?
All of Mexico is fantastic. I have fallen in love with the entire country. I recommend central Mexico. It's the highlands, so you're at elevation, it's drier. But
that's good for hair,
climates,
you know that.
Exactly. Yep. I don't have the hair, but I do understand the concept.
I'm just adding that in that you mightn't have known,
Yeah. Great mountains, great hiking,
and food.
Cheap cost of living, and let's not talk about the alcohol. So the home of tequila is in the highlands there. So
I always go a little crazy on tequila. I've learned a long time ago, don't drink tequila.
Yeah.
So that's your number 1 choice, Mexico. Where else?
Actually, a specific place in Mexico. So, there's a theme here. Down on the Baja Peninsula, and so over by Cabo San Lucas, but it's not in Cabo. It's
because Cabo's pretty expensive.
Yeah, so Cabo is on the west side of the peninsula. If you go to the east side, straight east of Cabo San Lucas, you go to this place called Cabo Polmo. And we were actually living in a caravan, a motorhome, and you can park it right on the beach for free, and you can live there off-grid. There's a cell tower with, at the time, was 5G, and so it was fantastic. Now it's, better, but, it was LTE, so it was fantastic. So now I'm sure it has 5G. This was a long time ago. But yeah, so I would have my calls with clients in the morning, do my work, walk out of the RV, walk to the ocean, put my goggles on, and go snorkeling. Like that was, and it was, by the way, Cabo Polmo is a fish reserve. It's a ocean reserve, basically. It used to be a fishing town, and they turned it into a reserve. And the fish that we saw, incredible. Just walk out and snorkel. So,
but there's also bringing it back to business though, Paul. Like I did a couple of summers in Portugal, and any clients that I spoke to that summer, they were killed telling me how much they enjoyed talking to me, because you're really happy. Everyone else is miserable and you've got all the time of the day for me, and I'd be sitting on a beach having an espresso, watching my son take a surf class, going, I'll chat on for another 45 minutes because you're less rushed and you're less busy and you get to know people better that way. I think is really cool. So that's location in a location. Give us your 3rd location.
Just in general, I love Thailand. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the people.
What, north or south?
I'm more a fan of the north because it's more chill. Whereas the south, it's chill, but it's all beach and, islands. And I don't know, there's a little bit more party scene where we were. Yeah. And so I like the north where it's more calm, and that's because I had kids. So
the Chiang Mai food market.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, amazing.
You've been there.
That's so cool. So listen, before anyone tunes in and so it goes, oh my goodness, has this turned into a travel podcast? It's not. It's actually a podcast about amazing humans implementing AI. So Paul, you're implementing AI, but you're implementing automation, and you're also very generously assigning one of your top trainers onto our AI automation course. So thank you very much for joining us today. Max will be joining us on the 5th of June if anyone wants to sign up for that course. Anything else you want to say about Connex Digital, where we can find you?
Best place, obviously, Connex.digital. That's
the
our
one.
website. But we have a couple other products, and so I would encourage checking out emailstream.ai as just kind of a way to that you can sign up today to be more efficient with email, which bogs us all down.
Oh, yes, that's the one, actually. Okay, I'll definitely put a link to that in the podcast. Fabulous. Listen, we've just run out of time. I'm really grateful to you for joining us. Paul Kortman, Connex Digital, thanks so much for coming on to Chatting GPT.